What is going on, Rotogrinders? Dean here. It's Dean 7904 if you want to get all technical. I mean, it's 6:01 on the East Coast, 3:01 on the West Coast, 5:01 Tennessee time. So, of course, that means it's time for the flagship show here at Rotogrinders. It's called Grinderslive. Joining me today, we're running it back. We crushed so hard yesterday. Myself, Will, Chief Justice, the kids know him as. Yesterday was good. I'm not the kind of person like Pat's, on the back. Maybe I am, and I'm just not aware of it. But I feel like we crushed the show yesterday. Will, and I had a good night. Your thoughts? How did we do? It's daily fantasy sports. All we care about is today, and today only, not yesterday, not tomorrow. But for a second, I think we did well yesterday. Yes.
Yeah, it was a pretty good day. Listen, let me tell you something. If Naj Reid comes through for me, it might be an even better day. The guys I locked in Drummond last night. Locked in Elf,
Julius Randle.
I didn't lock in Randall, but I was well over the field. And I was well over the field on like other guys that no one played, like Andrew Wiggins. I was heavy on that game. Not heavy on the game, but I was over on Jeremy Grant. And I know, a little bit of Blake Griffin kind of probably helped Jeremy Grant really explode again. But, it was there. Honestly, all I probably needed was another 15 from Nas, and I probably finished, with a good five-figure payout. And because I didn't have a train, obviously, but because of the guys I locked in, pretty much all my lineups were over the cash line, and it ended up being a really good night. Had tons of Tyler Hero, which the ownership's been really weird. Like I was shocked to see. I think Tyler Hero was only 20-something% in like the big FanDuel contest, where I was probably like 60% or something like that. So.
I played him 100%, like on FanDuel. I couldn't get. Wait, no, I played one lineup with a lot of quarter, but whatever, 90% or something like that. Fair enough. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it was a good night overall. Can't complain, man. I think trying to.
We even gave out Kendrick Nunn to the people. We got lucky with the blowout as well too. And the other Bertans. I was talking about Bertans getting those extended minutes. I didn't play him though. I played Nas instead, unfortunately.
I didn't play him. I wasn't going to play him. It is what it is. Like, look, man, I keep my player pool tight. So it is what it is. I don't complain when the process is solid, because you know why? It's basically another day. It's another slate, and I get a chance to take it down again today. And I'll give myself a chance if I nail it yet again.
Checking out the chat here. What's up, chat and YouTube? Feel free to like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Hey, if we helped you guys out yesterday, hit the like button. And if we've ever helped you out, how about that? There you go. I won't stoop and beg, but we appreciate the like. That does help out the old the analytics. We've got
I'll beg, YouTube. Smash that like button.
Can the people hear you, Devin, or no? You're just in my ear. I know you can jump on throughout the show. Okay, you're just gonna periodically jump on throughout the show.
Collaborative producer show here. This is awesome.
Do we have a smash sound effect? Did you happen to have that on layaway? Is that available by chance, or
I'll have maybe to work on that one, Dean?
I thought you have a soundboard on the ready. Come on, Devin. I think we have some quotes, but hey, maybe we'll work on it throughout the show. Some people are chatting talking about my camera. My apologies if it looks funky. Well, and then somebody else says I have a pinkish hue, that's kind of sort of what I am. That's just that's unnatural. The makeup girl she called out today, unfortunately, so I apologize for that. All right, let's get to the slate. We only have so much time here. Well, we got 45 minutes or so. Of course, we turn it over. So to crunch time tonight. 3-man booth on crunch time for the premium members. It's Andy Means, as always, Kevin Rumpf, as always, and it'll be best deal cards. They take you guys all the way up to lock. And if anything changes, and there's going to be some things that change because there are some body parts that are currently questionable, they will tell you how to pivot and how to adjust as far as your lineups. If you don't have RG Premium, what are you doing? Get yourself $10 off. $10 off your first month of RG Premium. Now, if you want just basketball a la carte, you can do that, or you can get all the sports in a combo, with the exception of NASCAR. That's sold a la carte. But you can get $10 off either way you want to do it. Or, Will, listen to this. I'm not sure if you're aware. We have a promo with Monkey Knife Fight. If you guys sign up through our promo code Grinders, GRINDERS, and again, all this is going to be dropped in chat for you guys. You get a $100 deposit bonus up to $100 and 2 months free of RG Premium, not the regular premium, not just one sport a la carte premium, but the combo, all the sports with the exception of NASCAR. So what are you waiting for? Smash those links there in chat. Just click on them. You don't have to smash them. I don't know why I would say smash. Will, do you want to know the body parts as far as who's in and who's out?
Let's go, man. It wouldn't be a flagship show without body parts.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really do a good job of writing them down, to be honest. This will be mostly And this is mostly off the dome because, or I just kind of wrote them down without the body parts because I was scrambling, adjusting to some stuff pre-show, unfortunately. But I guess LeBron James will be questionable like every game this year. He's still questionable. Kawhi Leonard, what we confirmed, this is probable. Kawhi Leonard, his sister's a liar, or she's just misinformed. I don't know. Maybe things change. She told us that Kawhi was going to play last night via Instagram, which is that's where I go for facts. He did not, of course. It's a back-to-back. Maybe he'll play this evening. And maybe they looked at the opponent and said, we don't need Kawhi. And maybe we don't want to play him in a back-to-back anyway because it's game 3 of a long season, and they don't really care about game 3. They care about the playoffs. Maybe he'll be back. We shall see. And, of course, there's interesting dynamics we'll get into as far as when that game is being played. That game, I believe, it's game 6 of 6 and an hour and a half after game 5. So it's going to be tricky as far as pivots, especially if we don't have information before game 5 tips off. Little game theory there for the people out there. But Kawhi is currently questionable. Jason Tatum officially in. He is probable. LMA LaMarcus Aldridge is out. Gallinari, he's probable. He's available. Josh Richardson is probable as well. John Morant, that's the big one, of course. He's out for a while, about a month or so. Tristan Thompson's he's out too. And Josh Richardson, did I repeat that one? I'm jumping around. He is probable as of 3 seconds ago and as of now as well. Also, Gary Trent, questionable. Carmelo expected back and available. Did I miss anything? What the most important thing, obviously, well, it's LeBron and Kawhi. And will we get that information? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for me, I'm not even really worried about that information because in my opinion, once again, I'm kind of going to hit on the Kawhi situation. Paul George is still playable whether or not Kawhi is in or out. I mean, at 7,600 on FanDuel, I think he's, 8,500 on DK. Obviously, he's much more playable on FanDuel no matter what. DK, maybe you have a few more decisions to make. Lou Williams, finally scored 20 points last night, got up to about 30 fantasy points. He's a guy that's kind of been a little bit too cheap, I felt like, over the long haul. But we'll kind of see where that goes. This is a show where I'm actually still getting my player pool down some because I did want to wait for the news. I removed everyone that I just knew I absolutely wasn't going to play. So, and then I was, on the fence about Jaylen Brown and, what I was going to do there, on the fence about kind of what I want to do with John Collins. And I think those are some of the things I want to highlight today. How are we going to handle the projections that we have in front of us that are basically saying, hey, these guys are great plays, but the past 3 games we've seen, very low minutes and very low fantasy performances from guys like that. So I think that's something I want to highlight today as we progress along and kind of talk through it. And hopefully, we can help the people out.
Yeah, you just mentioned Collins, just worth touching on. Like his minutes have been kind of goofy this year for a variety of reasons, via blowout, via foul trouble. I suspect if everything, it's a clear path. If it's not a blowout, if he's not in foul trouble, he'll go get above, 26, 27, and he'll grab like 30, 31. One hiccup is that Capella is back, and he's going to be stealing some boards from him. Collins
and Gallinari, like if they want to play, a little smaller, like I think there's some outs to him staying around that 25-minute mark. But like I said, it's balancing the opportunity with the price that we have. That's really what it boils down to.
I'm curious what our projection team. I'm pulling up Lineup HQ right now, and we're going to have SBK Keach. If you guys are watching us, he's been joining the show about 15 minutes in, so he'll be here about 5 minutes and tell us what's going on in the war room as far as Mr. Tuttle, Jamino, Allen. There's a variety of people that are all over kind of debating minutes and things like that. All you have to lock and digesting the new news. I imagine that they're all over San Antonio situation with the LMA, and I'm curious what they're doing with that. So he'll give us the up-to-date information as far as what they're debating projection-wise. Let's see. So right now we have Collins projected for 30 minutes, and I think that's about right. Gallinari for 25. Gallinari, old dude, first game back here. He's probably not going to get too much run. 25 seems about right for him. So I think you're right. Like the floor, he probably doesn't get the 35, which you've seen before in the past. There's more depth in this Atlanta team, and I don't know if they're baking in the possibility of foul trouble, but he's been handsy for sure this season. But the price kind of reflects it as well too. I think he's cheap enough, especially on FanDuel, where he's 6.8K. 7-1 on DK is playable too. But I think he's kind of sort of somewhat interesting. Durant, by the way, on the other side in that game on DK specifically. Explain that price to me. Was he 8.3? I'm pretty sure it's 8.3 for Durant.
Yeah,
that's wrong, right?
Well, here's the thing. I think, with the algorithm, I think they're adjusting for current performance, and Durant hasn't really exploded yet. And this is something I talked about on the morning grind, but I have to feel like Durant's rebounds and other peripherals are going to pick up. Like right now, he's kind of just taking 15, 16 shots a game. I think that's going to get up to the 20 to 22 range eventually. And any day now, it's going to be automatic. He's going to get hot. It's going to pick up. So you think I feel like he's taking 5 to 7 less shot attempts than he's probably going to average on the season. I feel like he's probably getting 3 to 4 less rebounds than maybe what his average is going to be. I think he probably should average about 6 rebounds. So, you think a guy that's going to – and a big thing for Durant is efficiency. So if Durant's taking 22 shots, he's probably making 11 to 14 shots most nights. And if that's the case, I mean, that's pretty much an automatic probably 28 to 30 points. Plus, you pick up the rebound numbers. He picks up another 6 rebounds. You got to think his blocks are going to pick up. And I'm not saying he's getting 3-4 blocks a game, but, 1 or 2 blocks, a steal, 4 or 5 assists. And then now we're getting close to that 50-point range, which we're accustomed to. So, look, the guy's still a year removed from the injury. A news flash, folks, he's actually going to be a lot better than this next year. Next year, he's going to be even better. So, I think he's, all guys. Look at Victor Oladipo, and this is something I talked about in comparison to Durant. Oladipo last year, right? 1 year removed, didn't look as good. Look at him this year. A lot more efficient, hitting a lot more shots, and the fantasy production is picked up pretty much right there stable, right in that 35 to 40-point range. I think that's what we're going to see from Durant. Eventually, the shot attempts will pick up, the rebounds will pick up. And so at 8,300, 8,200, whatever he's on DK, just too cheap for his upside. I think he's priced where he's been, not where he's going.
Good to have Keats joining us in just a couple minutes. I see you guys in YouTube. I don't know what's going on with my video. I apologize if it's funky, but yeah, I've been using my microfiber cloth and cleaning my cam, and apparently it's still looking sort of wonky. So I apologize for that, but that's just more cheap time. Just put cheap on the big screen. Sure, why not? Devin will be on the big screen later on the show. Why will Devin be on the show, or producer Devin? Because he right now is compiling questions in the chat. Better questions, better chance they're actually going to be asked on the show. He's our hockey goalie. He's the gatekeeper. What do you have for me, Chief?
Well, let me do this. Because my man Jeremy, he was saying it would be nice to hear other guys' thoughts. Well, listen, I'm just filling in today. Somebody, there was somebody else on the schedule, but they couldn't make it, so I just hopped in. And then secondly, JSU and Big T went and started their own company. So that's why you're not getting those guys. And so and those
Durant comes in tomorrow.
I still talk to Big T. I just talked to him, a couple of days ago. So those are still my friends.
I stopped talking to him. We're done. That's it.
But yeah, Jeremy, just wanted to clear that up. I'm with you, man. I like diversity as well. But I'm just filling in today. Trust me, I'm not going to be on the morning grind every day. And JSU and Big T, they've got their own thing rolling now. But appreciate it, man. And definitely, some other guys will be on. To
confirm, Jeremy does not eat the same bowl of cereal every day. He buys the variety pack with like 8 different options. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I was saying, as far as ask questions in chat. Here's what we ask you though. We prefer more like game theory, big thought, like slate, overwhelming, overarching questions as far as the slate. Not necessarily this guy or that guy. We'll entertain those. 2v2, okay. 3v3, you get the stink guy from Chief. The other part is please tell us, is it DK? Is it FanDuel? Is it a cash game? Is it a tournament? Is it GPP? That helps us out immensely, and it helps the answer out immensely. We are going to get Keats in just a second from the projections team and telling us what's going on, seeing what the big argument is today in the war room. I imagine, and I just pulled this up. We were talking with this pre-show, Chief, and Hurdle is projected right now, currently, for 26 minutes for San Antonio. He's a good fantasy point minute player. No LMA. I think he could be an interesting cheapie on a slate that we don't really have a lot of cheapies. Will, hold your thought. I want to get SBK's thought on this. SBK, yes. Keach, what's going on, dude? Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Just saw the update as far as San Antonio. LaMarcus Aldridge is out. And it's funny, we had this pre-show conversation, myself and Will, and I was throwing out Pirtle at him. And I think I was initially more high on him than you are. And who knows what he's going to start. I presume he's going to start. I don't know if we've officially seen anything here. Obviously Davis is a pretty big dude, so San Antonio probably matches up on the other side. Jakob Poeltl is talk me through the San Antonio minutes process, but where do those LMA minutes go? And it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, Poeltl is a guy that's kind of sort of popping.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy we have in the starting lineup right now. And at his salary, I agree. I do think he's, from a dollar per point perspective, and just, his output, his just like per minute upside, I think makes him pretty appealing. Other than that, I mean, we'll see probably, I believe maybe a little bit more Rudy Gay, some combination of Trey Lyles.
I got a reaction
to Rudy Gay.
Is that like you're excited to play Rudy Gay, or like you want nothing to do with him?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if excited is the right word, but
I never am.
Yeah, I mean, he's more appealing now. But I mean, same with Lonnie Walker. At least last season with Aldridge and Whiteoff saw a pretty decent bump in production. Same with DeJounte. So both of those guys are interesting. Keldon Johnson still in play. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you on Poeltl though. I do think he's a nice target, and he should definitely get getting some more attention at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think DeRozan, he's kind of priced up there, but it's been justified for sure. His usage will be perfectly fine here. Keldon Johnson, again, there's some sticker shock there, I suppose, from last year, but he's definitely justified that price too. And even Murray's another guy. Like, remember, he would only play 24 minutes a night, and like Pop just would not let him. He would combust if he plays a 25th minute in the court, but that's not necessarily the case anymore. Yeah, they get an ACL. I understood what they do with it. All right, so the rest. Do you have a Magic 8 Ball by chance? Is LeBron going to be questionable the rest of the season? Is he playing tonight? Is Kawhi playing tonight? Is Kawhi's sister a liar? What do you have for us on that?
Well, it does appear Kawhi's sister's a liar. But on the LeBron front, I mean, we were talking about this in Slack today. Just we do expect. I mean, this had LeBron listed on the injury report pretty much every game. I mean, I'm hoping it's not questionable every time, but I do think this is a trend that's going to continue. I do think he plays. I was wrong when I guessed on Kawhi last night. I thought that they would, after how terrible they looked against Dallas, would try to get him back and then sit him tonight. But he obviously didn't play last night. I still am leaning toward him going. But obviously that's still a legitimate question mark, I think. I am a little bit more confident that we see LeBron. But if I had to guess right now, I would say they both probably play. Other than that, I think the only real name that's questionable still at this point is Gary Trent, and I don't know that has a huge impact. I mean, obviously it's not really going to impact Dame and CJ much. Maybe we see more Rodney Hood. Melo's back tonight. Maybe he sees a couple extra minutes if Carmelo sits. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just LeBron and Kawhi in terms of the impactful news we're still waiting on at this point.
Is there anything else you feel strongly about as far as this slate? I think. Tristan Thompson out for Boston makes their front court kind of sort of somewhat interesting. It looks like Pritchard is a better play than Teague, especially when you consider his price. But I don't know. Pritchard's floor seems awfully low. And also, and I'm running some optimals and guys like, Daniel Tice, he's a little more solidified. I've seen Pritchard pop up in some, and I don't feel great about that. Do you have a general overall feel as far as the slate, as far as the optimal build? Do you have a take as far as Boston? Is Robbie Williams kind of sort of interesting as an off-the-board play? It just doesn't feel like there's a lot of punts on this slate.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any team we've talked more about today than Boston. We kind of debated for a while on what they would potentially do with the starting lineup. Right now, we're projecting that Pritchard will start and that they'll keep Teague in his bench role. Robert Williams, I mean, obviously a very good perimeter producer. I still don't know if he's quite going to get the run that would make him like a difference maker tonight, but he's definitely on the radar, I think. I have a kind of sneaking suspicion that they'll end up just starting Semi Ojeleye, and we'll all kind of hate that. But
oh god,
but we don't play him,
point,
right?
at least, no,
he doesn't close or anything.
Definitely, no. We definitely do not play Semi. That if you take anything from this, that should be it. But I do think Pritchard, especially if he ends up in the starting lineup, is going to be a pretty appealing target. Tice is also a little bit appealing with, obviously, like you said, without Thompson. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple different ways they could go. I still imagine that they'll keep Teague and probably Grant Williams with the second unit. Same with Robert Williams. So I think the starting lineup we have projected now is Pritchard, Smart, Brown, Tatum, and Tice, and I have a pretty good feeling that's probably what they'll roll with.
Yeah, and Tice is going to probably be chalky tonight, just because again, unless you see something otherwise. I don't, the sites, and good on the sites, they are preemptive as far as bumping up Tyus Jones for Memphis, with the exception of Yahoo. He's still $10 on the floor. Play him on Yahoo. There you go. There's your Yahoo play. 90% of the field should be on him. But I'm just not seeing any cheapies. We got to get you out of here. We got to get you back work as far as the projections. I know you're taking those all the way up the lock, but do you have anything else? Any words of wisdom to leave us on as far as this slate? Anything you have any sort of bold takes? Anything you feel like you gotta play in tournaments? This is the guy that's going to land in the optimal lineups.
I absolutely love Dillon Brooks. I don't know how much if you guys have got to him yet, but I think he's probably my favorite target on this slate, especially with Giles. He's been shooting the ball a ton.
We're going to talk about this.
Yeah, so I think he's probably my favorite target. That he's the guy I'm really excited to play tonight.
I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to ask Will. Will is very excited about Rudy Gay and about Dillon Brooks. And one of those two guys I'm actually interested in, but I do appreciate your time.
Me and Will.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I feel like me and Will are on the same page a lot, so it's certainly good to hear from me at least. But yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Have a good one.
That's because I've been behind the paywall with you, SBK. I've been in the sausage room a little bit.
All right, guys. Well, good luck tonight. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Again, if you guys are watching us on chat here on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, notifications. Do appreciate that. Our producer extraordinaire, Devin's going to be joining the show soon. We're going to he's done so well. We're extending that segment, probably the last 15 minutes or so of the show. We're going to bring him on. He's going to he's compiling questions right now in chat. There's a bunch of questions. We're not ignoring you. He's all over it. The better the question, the more likely it's going to be appearing on the show. He's our hockey goalie. Let's try to make it overarching as far as game theory, as far as it's not so much this guy or that guy. We'll answer those too, I suppose. Sure. Why not? And again, tell us what site. Is it for cash games? Is it for tournaments? Thank you so much. All right, Will, first of all, the Dillon Brooks one. You give me your thoughts because I have thoughts too, but talk to me about Dillon Brooks.
Well, let's talk about it because, first of all, I'm really excited about this game in general. The fact that Tatum is in, I think actually helps my thought process a lot because I feel like if Tatum was out, we were going to get Jaylen Brown overowned. I think and so now Jaylen Brown's ownership is going to come back down to earth. Guess what, people? We still need to be playing Jaylen Brown today against Memphis. Nothing's changed. And so I'm so glad that Tatum is in the lineup because I'm going to be stacking the mess out of this game, guaranteed. To get back to your Dillon Brooks take, there are two guys on this team that I almost wanted to lock in. I'm not going to lock them in because there are other locks that are better. And I'll get to the guys that I'm going to lock in. You know I'm always going to tell you. But I think Dillon Brooks and Kyle Anderson are two of the best plays on the slate. I think they're both going to play 35 minutes. There's no job. I've already looked it up. Dillon Brooks has the usage. And while Kyle Anderson might not have the usage, he's still got the point per minute production that's going to be there. If you look on Court IQ, I looked this up earlier today. If you just kind of take Ja off of the court, I took off Jaren Jackson just in case. I took off DeAnthony Melton just in case and Justice Winslow just in case. I know they haven't played, but I took them off. And you just run the query, and you see here I sorted by usage. Dillon Brooks has a 34% usage rate. Kyle Anderson has a 25.6% usage rate and is averaging 0.80 points per minute. I'm expecting that to pick up a little bit. And that's just me speculating. Dillon Brooks is at 1.04. And the reason I like Valanciunas so much, I think he's going to play 30 to 32 minutes, averaging 1.01 fantasy points per minute. I think he's going to have a field day with Boston if they can keep this game close. And I think it's going to have a lot to do with slow-mo and Dillon helping to push this team down the road. So I like this game. I still like Tyus Jones. I think his point per minute production is going to pick up. You have to think about it's only 3 or 4 games. Ja's been there. So, but I like this team overall. I'm not saying I'm going to have 4 Memphis Grizzlies in a lineup, but I do plan on stacking this game. If I had to take one person from this game or from this side, it would still probably be Kyle Anderson for me because I think he's got more outs to get to 40 fantasy points. Whereas Dillon Brooks has got to be hitting shots. If he shoots 2 for 12 in the first half, we may be dead. And
he's not going to stop. He'll keep shooting the second half.
Yeah, I know. I know. But I still think Kyle Anderson is a better play than Dillon Brooks. But I'm going to have plenty of both, okay? I'm not going to let – and I talked about this on the morning grind. I'll give it over to you. I'm not going to let the price increases cloud my mind and thinking that, they're priced up now, so I can't play them. No, they both still have 40-point upside right now. They hit 7K. Hey, I'll back off the gas. Right now, they're both pretty much 6K. I think we need to be playing them.
A couple of things. First of all, the chat is ablaze. They're talking about what the sausage room is that you mentioned 5 minutes ago. They keep talking about. They're having good times with that one.
I love
did not see that coming.
The sausage room. So funny story. I kind of got started doing a little bit of projections because I was doing the first Slate IQ for NBA.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how I got on the projection side and ran minutes overnight and stuff like that. And it just kind of gives you a different perspective. So I can only imagine what they're going through with all some of the new things we have, even in addition to Slate IQ right now. So anyway, back over to you, Dean.
Yeah. By the way, you mentioned Slate IQ. I think there's a new article out today. Bimeport put it out there. I have not dug into it, but I know people love that for all the other sports. So Slate IQ for basketball, certainly something I'm keeping an eye on. So I was watching the Memphis game the other day, and Kyle Anderson is in his 6th, 7th, 8th season or something like that. And the announcer, he hit his career high in 3-pointers in the first quarter. This is just a different dude. And this is not the slow-mo of the guy we hated rostering at small forward on FanDuel where he's 3'7", and you're just begging he gets those 19 points so you can jam in 3 studs. He's been different this year, and I think it's going to continue, especially with some shots are going to delegate his way, some ball handling delegates his way with the lack of Morant. And, Brooks, we talk about this all the time. He's got that, the Deion Waiters mentality. He's got that Kendrick Nunn mentality. He thinks he's the best shooter on the court. He isn't. Doesn't matter. Just as long as the coach doesn't punish him for chucking too much. He's not a very efficient guy. He's had, and he was 3'7" the other day, which is egregious. Now he's 6'7" on FanDuel. I think he's 6 and change on DK. But absolutely, this is a guy that can score 25, 30, 35 real-life points in the bucket. So I think he's interesting as well. And I agree, Tyus Jones should play about 30 minutes or so, maybe even 33, 34.
I think 35. Well. I think Tyus Jones – look at this roster, Dean, and this is something I talk about.
Anderson's their backup point. That's their backup point is Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, I mean, they've got 10 bodies. I think Tyus Jones is playing 35 minutes easy.
Yeah, so I like both those players despite the fact that they're priced up, which is kind of sort of weird. I'm looking at the chat, got an eye on it. They're saying we're all over the place. We're on Memphis. We're talking about Memphis. Let's talk about an interesting game stack. If you want to go the game stack route, I think Atlanta, Brooklyn certainly pops. Of course, the guys are expensive. We know where to go from the Brooklyn side. Kyrie and Durant. And then, of course, Trae Young for Atlanta. Atlanta's just got more pieces for me offensively. The addition of Bogdanović, the addition of Gallinari, which I think suppresses the ceiling or the likelihood of Trae Young to hit his ceiling on a given night. He's a guy that always could put 45 points in the bucket. And I think it's still possible, but a little less likely with this grouping. So, and I don't think the price is fully adjusted. So I'm kind of sort of out on Trae Young. Again, I'm not saying I don't like him, but hey, we live in the world of a salary cap, and I just can't pay that, especially considering, Bogdanović is a good shooter. Gallinari is a good shooter. Now we can get assists off those guys too. Jeff, thoughts as far as that Atlanta-Brooklyn game?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta-Brooklyn, I like it in terms of the pace. I mean, it's one of the highest totals on the day. But like I said, you kind of got to pay for the main guys. And that's kind of the trick with that game in terms of stacking, which is why I'm so into Memphis, Boston. I think that's one of my favorites. But I like the Atlanta game. I don't love it. And I know it's got the highest total, but, especially on a site like FanDuel where Kyrie and Trae Young are both in that 94 to 9,800 range. I think that's a tough ask today to play both of those guys on FanDuel. And then you've got Durant at 95. I don't hate the prices on them individually, but collectively in terms of a whole lineup, I don't feel great about stacking the game. I like the pieces. I don't like how they work together for the lineup. So I think if you're playing that game, I don't think you have to play everybody. Maybe you take Durant or Kyrie. I don't think you need to jam 2 stud point guards today, especially when you've got Tyus Jones, you've got Drew, you've got all these other guys that you can play. So I think that's kind of the approach we need to take today. I'm going to hop back to this Memphis game just for a second because that is my favorite game on the night. And last night it was New York and Cleveland. So I do want to highlight that and kind of talk through the scenario. And so what happens is when I've got a favorite game of the night, I'm really looking at salary distribution and how does that work with the opportunity for the players. And so you take a Kyle Anderson at 6K, you take a Dylan Brooks at 6,200. I'm talking FanDuel pricing right now. It's pretty similar on DraftKings. You take a guy like JV at 7,500 or so, and then you look at the other side and you've got Jaylen Brown. Yeah, he's 8K, but the other pieces are going to work. You've got, Marcus Smart, who's 5,900. So there are ways to make the game stat work, and you can still get in really good pieces from other games. That's when I want to attack a game stack. So I'm not as likely to attack a game stack when all the good players are 9K. I'm more likely to do it when, we've got the ownership that we can kind of spread out and attack it in some different ways. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm sure everybody wants to hear my lock of the night. I'll get to that in a second. One of the guys I'm locking is Tyler Hero. He's 4,500 on FanDuel. It's a no-brainer. You just lock him in. Look, he could get 25 points and we could still, win a tournament, especially if they get blown out again and they're going to let him run in garbage time. He should get up to that 28 to 35 point range. So Tyler Hero's a guy I'm going to lock. Dean, I'm going to start right there and kind of let you get in on it. And then I'm going to talk about another lock of the day that I would lock on both sites. One of my favorite plays of the day. But Dean, back to you, my friend.
Yeah, so we're bringing Devin on, our producer, in about 3-4 minutes or so. He's going to fire some questions he's been compiling there in chat. If you guys are in chat, what up? Feel free to like and subscribe, turn on notifications. We appreciate the interaction. We like the interaction. Even if you disagree, that's cool. That's fine. It makes for a good conversation. Again, if you guys are asking questions, tell us what site and if it's for tournament or for cash. So we haven't talked about two of the big studs. Well, I guess Anthony Davis is a stud too. By the way, worth noting, Davis's usage is down, hasn't blocked a shot this year. I think that's going to change. The price has not reflected that necessarily. Of course, if LeBron doesn't play, we think he will, but who knows? Davis would get a big bump as well too. But hey, the two other studs, we haven't talked about Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is playing this evening, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Amongst those two, in the vacuum, in the Hoover, who do you prefer?
For me, I think I'm taking Luka because I think that game's going to be pretty tight. I don't think Dallas is going to blow them out as they could, but I think I'm taking Luka. Luka hasn't really had a big game. Giannis hasn't really had a big game, but I'm taking Luka. I think this is going to be a shootout.
I'm seeing somebody in chat talking about PJ Washington game time. I thought PJ Washington was probable last I saw, unless something has changed.
No, he said game tonight.
Oh,
game tonight.
You know what?
Well, and look, guess what? Well, there we go, D. I was going to wait to hold that sister there. Let's get excited. It's PJ Washington Day, folks. I'm locking him in on both sides. LOCK, lock button. I mean, first of all, on DK, he's extremely cheap at 5,300 for the output. Look at what's happened since Cody Zeller has left the lineup. Listen, Bismack Biyombo's still playing 30 minutes, but they've unlocked the PJ Washington button, right? You look at what he's done. Rebounds are up. Points are up. I love PJ Washington tonight. I think he's got 35. And when I say point upside, I'm not talking about real points because I think I saw someone say Slow-Mo's not getting 35 real points. Yeah. I'm talking about fantasy points, not real points, okay? But PJ Washington, I think he's getting 35 minimum. That's the way I feel about it. I think the trend is there. I think they're going to need him. Dallas isn't that great inside. Trust me, they're not. So I think PJ's got 35-point upside as a floor tonight. I think he can get to 40, 45. Lock button on both sides for me, PJ Washington.
Couple things. I like Washington too. Good 3-point guy as well. And he plays the 5 too. Bismack Biyombo, is that kind of sort of somewhat trappy? Is there a chance Bismack doesn't close and Washington plays the 5? Because I think that's in play, and that makes it really, really interesting, even more interesting. And
and look, some people are late to the party. We've already talked about locking Tyler Hero. So please don't insult us. Tyler Hero's an obvious lock. Nobody's going to tell you to lock PJ Washington. That's why I'm on this show. If you're coming on this show for me to tell you to play Tyler Hero tonight on FanDuel at 4,500, there's no need for me to be here. I'm here to talk to you about PJ Washington and other tournament guys that we may not be considering. That's why I'm here.
Do you like that scenario, by the way? Washington closing the 5 and Bismack being off the court. What do you think is going to happen there? Who's the closing 5 in that game? Charlotte versus Dallas.
Honestly, I think PJ's probably going to be there in the close. Like, Biyombo's not a scorer, right? So if they're down by 10 with 8 minutes left, trust me, they want the scores on the floor. It's going to be Devontae. It's going to be Terry. It's going to be PJ. It's going to be Gordon Hayward, which is another guy
who's been
that
good.
I really like. And then it's probably going to be Miles Bridges. Like those are the scores. We're going to get LaMelo worked in. Like, look, once LaMelo gets going, I think he's going to be closing. But for right now, LaMelo's playing about 20 minutes. So that's kind of where I'm at.
We teased it enough. Well, let's bring. I assume Devin's good to go. He's ready to go. He's probably compiled. I saw a bunch of questions loading up in chat, and you know how we can get a little wordy at times. We want to work as many as possible.
There's
Devin,
a lot.
what's up, dude? How are things going in your world?
Good. I was trying to scarf some mac and cheese while you talk about being a multitasker.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Mac and cheese.
Are you a craft guy, like out of the box, or that's not?
No,
you,
this is
it?
some weird off-brand stuff, Dean. You know I'm a vegetarian vegan.
Yeah.
So that's.
Is there? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Never mind.
Daya.
Let's not get into it.
Daya.
No, it's another show.
You're right. We don't have time.
Tell the people your podcast that they can listen to.
Oh man.
All right. Well, what do you have for us, Devin? As far as the slate, I'm going to handle the cash game stuff. Will's going to handle the tournament stuff. We're going to stay in our lanes as best possible and knock out as many questions. Fire away.
All right. Mike would like to know DK Cash, Durant and Dragic, or Luka and Trey Burke.
Ooh. Man. I think it's the first one. It's close, though.
Mike would like to know lowest owned stud that can explode on DK.
Well, PJ Washington, low owned. Is as far as the price or low the ownership?
Well, the stud part, I believe, would be the more important part.
Well,
I'm going to assume he's talking tournaments. I think Trae Young's probably going to have really low ownership tonight. I would go Trae in terms of a low owned stud that could. If this game's tight, they're going to need him. He could get 60.
I would just add this: like currently, our ownership is a 6-game slate, and we saw this the other night where everybody thought LeBron wasn't going to play, including myself. And he was like 1% owned on like a 5-game slate. And tonight he's projected to be like 8% owned and Davis 6% owned. I understand they kind of sort of eat each other to some degree, but we've certainly seen them both have ceiling games when they're both still out there. And even Trae Young, 8% as far as the ownership I'm looking at right now. So all those guys are options if you want to go that route.
All right. K-Mac would like to know best value power forward FanDuel tournament for Will.
Honestly, I think it's Brandon Clark at 4,600, and he's already kind of priced up some, but I think that's where I would go.
I agree with you.
All right. Jam wants to know for the slate IQ, it says that 2-1 stacks are good for slates like this on DK in a tournament. Which game would you guys target?
For me, it would be either Boston, Memphis, or Charlotte, Dallas. If you want to get sneaky, it's probably Charlotte, Dallas.
Nice. You know they want the sneaky ones.
It's hard to be sneaky in a 6-game slate for the record, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Juicy, we're going to say that. How viable are the 3 main Memphis guys in cash games for FanDuel?
Ooh,
a lot of questions around him for what it's for the Memphis guys for what it's worth.
I would. Oh, never mind. Go ahead, Dean. That's cash question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now. As far as I'm trying to see what we have. All right. So, like who are the 3 main? Well, I assume the 3 main guys.
Brooks, Joval, Anderson,
and well, I think Jones is kind of one of the main guys, and I think you can play in cash for sure. Myself and Will were talking pre-show about Bam and Valanciunas. I prefer Bam. I think Miami bounces back. Last game didn't even have, even the Twitter account that they busted out the Men in Black, them eraser thing. Like it didn't even happen. They're running it. It's so weird. We don't see back-to-backs in the same city. I don't know if the Milwaukee guys went out in the town of Miami. Who knows?
If you have the Men in Black reference on your bingo sheet, go ahead and mark that card down.
But that's what the account actually put out there. Yeah, so you can play Valanciunas in cash. Brooks is a little more tournament-y for me at 6.7K. Clark, if you land on him in cash, absolutely fine. And Anderson is fine in cash. But I think Grayson Allen, actually, at 3.7K. I don't want to play Grayson Allen, but if he makes everything else work, I suspect he's going to start, and I suspect he's going to play 28 to 30 minutes. He's okay. So, yeah, you can play 3 guys in Memphis in cash.
All right. Mr. Donk wants to know, concerns that Spurs go smaller and Jakob is limited to 20-ish minutes.
Well, how do you go smaller against Anthony Davis is sort of my question. I think Pirtle starts, and I think he plays at least 20 minutes. I don't know if he plays beyond 25, but the way he scores points and the way he's priced, he should be able to get there in 25 minutes. Will?
Yeah, I'm fading Podol tonight, just so you guys know. But I'm not going to disagree with the projections team on. I think he plays 25 to 28 minutes, probably closer to 25, and he's kind of a point per minute guy. I think he's going to be bad chalk, and I'm going to fade him. That's just my opinion on it.
All right. Well,
for tournaments, not cash games.
Sure.
Tournaments.
While we're here with Will, let's talk about some game stacks. Are Brooks, Joval, Anderson, and Jones too many Memphis players with Brown and Tice to run back on a DK tournament?
Yeah, I don't think you need to play 4 of them. I think 3 would probably be my max on DK just because of some of the other pieces you have. But here's what I will say. If you've got the bankroll and maybe you're just kind of throwing some shots in, I don't know, the $8 that they have or the $20, like if that's kind of your aim, take a shot at it. I mean, we've seen, 4 guys show up in an optimal lineup before at the end of the night. So if it's just 1 or 2 lineups, I wouldn't do it. If you've got the bankroll and you're kind of firing, like, you start getting that 45, 50 range, I say hand build that one out for sure.
All right. Mr. Eamon, not Erman, wants to know FanDuel, Schroeder or Graham?
I prefer Graham in cash. I guess you can play Schroeder in tournaments. Of course, Schroeder is a better play if LeBron doesn't play.
I like Graham straight up tonight against Dallas.
And that's your team, right? Charles, your team?
Yeah. In fact, I've also locked in Devontae Graham on FanDuel.
Well, there you go.
I've hit the lock button.
You were holding that one back the whole time and dropping on the people 8 minutes left in the show?
Well, we got the questions early, so I kind of couldn't get to it per se. Right now, I've got 3 locks on FanDuel: Graham, Hero, and PJ Washington. And I'm debating whether or not I'm going to lock Luka. I'm debating hard.
Okay.
All right. Chad wants to know, is it too much? Well, this is another Memphis question. We touched on that one. Thomas wants to know, with no Dinwiddie, LeVert is a sneaky play tonight. Thoughts? Sort of a direct question.
Yeah, so Will, I have a thought on that. I imagine what's going to happen. TLC played spectacular last game. I assume he's going to jump into the starter's role. And LeVert, like the way Nash has been running his rotations, we've seen Irving and Durant come in and out together, which is odd to me. Who am I to question? But usually you keep. Why not have at all times one of Irving or Durant out there amongst the 48 minutes? But that's not what he's been doing consistently. And then LeVert's just been crushing in the second unit. I think that's going to continue. We don't have the lineup just yet, but I imagine it's TLC starting, and I imagine it's LeVert all by himself, getting all that usage. Of course, only like so many minutes because, Irving and Durant are going to stay on the bench for so long. But he's still in play because those minutes are really, really valuable when it's just him and a bunch of guys that don't really shoot so much. He's in play. If that was helpful.
To summarize.
Tournaments.
Let's go to Cody. Wants to know, I'm not landing on a 2-2 game stack tonight. I'm mainly getting 2-1 on DK. Should I focus on trying to get the 2-2 or trust the optimizer?
That's not a me question, Will, because you can handle that one. I don't obsess over.
Is that for tournaments? I'm assuming it's for tournaments.
Yeah, we'll say tournaments.
So here's my take on like tournament building. First of all, I don't want to get too technical. I really would like to know how many lineups you're running.
Sure.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give you a blueprint. The less lineups you run, I feel like the more concentrated your player pool needs to be, right? So if I'm running, 25 lineups, I'm going to try to take out almost everybody, and I'm going to lock in the guys that I say, these are the guys I think are going to carry me to the money, and I'm not really worried about the game stack piece. It may come out from a game stack, it may not, but the less lineups you run, the less players you need to have. The more lineups you run, you can add a few more players. I'm not playing the whole player pool, but hopefully that helps you out. So I wouldn't really focus on the 2-1-2-2. If you're going to do that, I think you need to hand build those out. But if you're using the optimizer, get rid of as many players as you can and really nail down your player pool. Hopefully that answers the question.
I would just add this, like a 2-1, not all 2-1s are created equal. And like understanding how teams are constructed, a 2-1 for one team versus a 2-1 versus other teams, it can be distinctly different as far as how the usage is delegated. So, I mean, that information is good, but for me, I don't feel like I have to force that, if that makes sense. Devin.
And we touched on this last show. I don't think we've mentioned it yet, but if we don't mention a player, that doesn't mean we don't like him. Just we have to go through a lot of players, and sometimes
not necessarily. Yeah.
So this one, Dan wants to know, what about Robert Covington?
Yeah, I mean, if you land on Covington on FanDuel, and like if all you have is a 5-3, I'm okay playing him. That's the place to play him too, because when you get him right, he gets those stocks, he gets those deals, he gets those blocks. He's a 3-and-D guy, not a high usage guy. He's capable of hitting a 3. He's not a fabulous 3-point shooter, but he'll take him, and he gets wide open shots because he's not spectacular. But yeah, you catch him on the right night where he gets 4 or 5 stocks, and he's cheap enough, and that the position's not great, that I'm okay with Covington on FanDuel. On DK, not so much.
Just a reminder to smash that like button. Let's see. Somebody wants to know, General J, will Iguodala crack over 20 minutes with Butler out?
I think he's probably going to get there, but I still don't like Iguodala.
We should talk about that just for a second because last night what Miami did, they were getting absolutely shellacked.
Lots of questions about Dragic's minutes. So, yeah, if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I think it's a smart organization. Miami's a smart organization. They were getting walloped. Dragic had a bad injury last year. He's old. Miami cares about the postseason. They don't care about today, like DFS. Yeah. They know they have tonight. They know that they're playing Milwaukee again. So don't be concerned at all about Dragic's minutes last night. If this game is competitive, I presume it's going to be competitive. He's going to go back to getting his 27, 28 or whatever it is. Perfectly fine. But that game was over before it started. And also they started Maurice Harkless and Miles Leonard both started. They played about 3 minutes. They got the hook. They never saw the court again. They were like Kaiser Soze. They just disappeared. We never saw them. They were walking totally normal. And in the third quarter to the locker room or something. Miami's going to change up their rotation. They did sit Iguodala last night on the back-to-back, and he's probably going to get some run. That said, he's a horrible DFS player, and he's not going to play like 30 minutes to justify. If you catch him on the right night with stocks and threes, I suppose, but it's really, really thin. He might start and play 25 minutes, and if it works for everything else, I haven't seen his price. Is he 3K? Maybe if he's 3K, maybe. But like we might see KZ. He might drop a start. It could be interesting as a full flat-out punt, but Miami is one of the tougher teams to figure out as far as their rotations. I spent too much time on it. Go ahead, Devin.
Let's see. Well, that was more Dragic questions. Let's see. Trevor wants to know, any thoughts on taking Robert Williams, Time Lord, I believe is his nickname?
Oh, yeah.
Or Cantor as a Tice and Pirtle pivots? That's a DK tournament.
Go ahead, Will.
I definitely think Robert Williams would probably be the guy to pivot to. Here's a guy that I think I would pivot to. Honestly, if you're not feeling comfortable, Bismack Biyombo has more stable minutes than all of those guys. And while it doesn't sound good on paper, he's going to get his 30 minutes unless they get shellacked. So I think Robert Williams gets 20 to 22 minutes. I think Pirtle gets 20 to 26 minutes. I think Tice gets 20 to, I think Tice probably gets 24 to 28 minutes.
I think it's a feel. Like who's hot, like who's playing well. It's fluid. You don't know.
Bismack is the center for Charlotte right now. He's going to get, pretty much his 30 minutes. So I think if you want to get the leverage on the field, I'd actually take Bismack over all those guys for the stability of the minutes.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we're coming up to the wire. So, Dean, why don't you take us home?
All right. We thank everybody for asking your questions. We apologize that we did not get to them. We'll do our best next time. Devin, thank you for firing away. Thank you for being our goalkeeper. And again, thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. If you guys want to get RG Premium, the stuff we've been showing off throughout the show, the articles that have been referenced, crunch time that's coming up after, the link will be dropped in chat for you guys. Get $10 off your first month. You can get basketball a la carte. You can get all the sports in the combo with the exception of NASCAR. $10 off there as well. Or just join Monkey Knife Fight using our promo code Grinders. You get all the content, everything for 2 months for free with the exception of NASCAR. He was Will. He was Devin. I was Dean. This was basketball. Good luck tonight. We're out of here. Holler!